Should Binance be banned in the Philippines? What's up mga kababayan? This is Kristan, your Bitcoin buddy. At ngayong video na to pag-uusapan natin yung request letter na ginawa ng Infrawatch PH to the SEC to ban Binance sa Pilipinas. At tignan natin lahat ng mga points na ni-raise ng Infrawatch PH at saka pag-aralan natin kung ito ba ay nakakatulong o nakakasakit lang sa mga Pilipino at sa industriya ng cryptocurrency. Let's talk about the first point na na-raise ng Infrawatch PH. Sabi nila that Binance is operating in the Philippines without a license. To begin with, ano ba ibig sabihin ng operating in the Philippines? In my opinion, and from what I know, when you talk about business operations, dapat may opisina ka, may staff ka, tapos may ginagawa kayong mga administrative functions, business functions, operations in the country physically. Kung hindi, when you have a website that's accessible to Filipinos in the Philippines, that's not really operations eh. That just means that Filipinos have access to your website. Much like kahit na anong website dyan na international that we have access to. Let's say, for example, I want to buy a pair of shoes from a brand that's in the States. If I buy that, but does that mean that that brand is operating in the Philippines? No. But I can access their products and services and have it delivered here in the Philippines. So, ganun lang yung Binance. They're selling a product or an international website and Filipinos have access to it. So why ban that? I don't get that. The second point they raised is that crypto is a security daw. And Binance should not be allowed to trade securities in our country. Okay, so again, that's a debatable point because is cryptocurrency really a security or not? Now, there are two sides to this and I'm just giving you one side of it. You do your own research. But the way I look at securities kasi, our securities are either equity in the company through forms of shares and stock or debt. That's how I define securities. Now, you can look at definition of securities and you can decide what you think it is. Ito naman kasi is more like a currency. Is holding US dollars ba considered a security? And then let's say I hold US dollars and then bumaba yung value ng peso to the US dollar and then I sell it and I profit from it. Does that mean that that's a security? No. So cryptocurrency is the same as the US dollar or any other currency in the world, where if you hold it and then you sell it at a higher value, it doesn't mean that you have ownership of the US dollar by holding on to it. So cryptocurrency is the same thing because cryptocurrency is the currency of that blockchain or that app so that it enables transactions to happen inside the app or the blockchain. It also is a way to be able to secure the network and the blockchain. So in that instance, I don't look at cryptocurrency as a security because there's no ownership of that blockchain or that app or that project when you buy the cryptocurrency. It just means that you have currency to be able to use and spend inside that ecosystem. Number 3, Infrawatch PH claims that the people need to be protected from Binance by the government. Okay. I trust Binance more than I trust our government. And I think a lot of people na in cryptocurrency would tend to agree with me on this. The government has not always shown that they are really watching out for the best interests of the people. And in that case, I'd rather trust a company that is for profit like Binance, that they will act in accordance to what the customers want. So Binance in the past has been very protective of their customers. Also, they're one of the most liquid and the biggest crypto exchanges in the world. So by banning them, are you really protecting the consumers? And when you talk about government protection or regulation, think about it. In the past, yung gobyerno ba natin, have they been able to protect us from all the scams and the different companies and the different bank runs na nangyari dito sa Pilipinas? Ang dami Historically, we've had a lot of scams in the Philippines that the government was not able to protect us from. So by regulating it, do you really believe they're going to be able to help us, help the Filipino investor? I doubt it. Kaya natatawa na lang ako pag sinasabi ng Infrawatch PH that we have to do this for consumer protection. Next, they stated that Binance is a hub for money laundering, laundering $2.3 billion. Hindi nila sinabi kung annually or all time, but let's assume it's annually. Here's the thing about that statement. They did not put it into context. It's called selective reasoning. They stated to the people that it's 2.3 billion that's laundered through Binance. But what they did not tell the people or the Filipinos, for everyone's information, $300 billion laundered yearly in the United States alone. And the estimates are even bigger internationally. From $800 billion to $2 trillion annually is being laundered all over the world. So pag tinignan mo, in the context of that, 2.3 billion is a drop in the bucket compared to 800 billion to $2 trillion annually all over the world. And money launderers' favorite way of laundering money is still cash, physical cash. That's the bulk of it, not crypto. Next, they claim that Binance has an unfair advantage over regulated exchanges and wallets. I don't believe that's true. Because if you think about it, the regulated exchanges and wallets have this amazing advantage of being able to convert pesos to crypto. And Binance doesn't have that direct advantage. Sa Binance, mas mahirap pa nga kasi you have to do P2P eh. So that means you have to send the money to somebody's bank account and then they'll have to send the crypto to your Binance account. It's a longer process and it's a little bit more tedious compared to just connecting your bank account or your GCash or your PayMaya to your crypto wallet that's regulated in the Philippines and just transferring the money immediately. That's much faster and easier to do than what Binance does. So in essence, actually Binance is at a disadvantage compared to the regulated cryptocurrency wallets and exchanges in the Philippines right now. Next, how do you really penalize a company that doesn't even exist? A legal entity that does not exist in the Philippines. So in the eyes of the SEC, Binance does not exist. There is no legal entity. So sino yung hahabulin mo when sa mata ng SEC, hindi naman nag-e-exist ng kumpanyang to? So technically, walang jurisdiction ng SEC over Binance because they're not licensed by the SEC. So they're not part of the SEC. So they cannot be penalized or they cannot be regulated. In other words, walang power ang SEC over Binance. What can they really do? Nothing, unless you plan to censor the internet and not allow people access to Binance. Then if that's the case, then they can do that with every other website that they deem is operating in the Philippines, even though it's not. Then where do you draw the line? That's when it becomes very dangerous. So what can the SEC do? Well, since SEC does not have jurisdiction over Binance, if you think about it, the best they can do is warn Filipinos, which they've done, to not use Binance, to be careful of Binance. That's it. That's the best they can do at this point. So ang tanong natin ngayon, ano ba yung intent ng request na to? At bakit ba tinitignan ng think tank na Infrawatch PH ang Binance at cryptocurrency? Ano yung kanilang purpose? At bakit nila biglang napansin ang Binance? Sa akin lang, I think that the think tank Infrawatch PH should think more before they make such a request. I think they should study what cryptocurrency does and what Binance does before they write such a letter. And then I think they have to understand the future potentials of cryptocurrency in changing the world. This is a game-changing technology, but instead of thinking, I think Infrawatch PH is simply reacting based on fear and based on lack of information. And that's where I think the problem lies. So the last question I have here is, by banning Binance, which they can't anyway, will that hurt or help Filipinos? Tingin ko, it will hurt rather than help Filipinos. Kasi isipin mo lang Filipinos, by putting their money in Binance, actually is putting their money in the safest crypto exchange in the world. It's the biggest one. It's the most liquid. So it's the safest one to put your money into. Kung tinanggal mo yung access to Binance, Filipinos are still going to invest in cryptocurrency. You're not going to be able to stop that. Pero mangyayari dito is they're going to look for other platforms where they can put their money in cryptocurrency. Smaller platforms that are not as liquid, that are prone to hacks, that are not as secure and safe. And that's why I think this will hurt Filipinos rather than help. This will lessen the protection because Binance is more secure than any regulation that the government can place on it. Because it's in Binance's best interest to ensure that they run a company in an exchange that protects their consumers because that makes them very credible, which makes them more profitable. So they have every incentive to work for their customers. So since the SEC can't ban Binance anyway, I think that this request letter is useless. And what it really shows is the lack of information and the fear that Infrawatch PH has, and also it makes it questionable ano ba yung intent nila on making this request. And if Infrawatch is interested to learn about cryptocurrency, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to teach you guys about it and show you how much of a game changer cryptocurrency is and why it will help improve the lives of all Filipinos all over the world. I hope you guys learned something from this video, and if you did, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the link below, and please click on the notification bell so you're notified of my latest videos. Salamat mga kababayan. I'll see you guys on my next crypto video.